Szanowni Państwo, serdecznie witamy na konferencji Państwowej Komisji Wyborczej.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome at the press conference of the National Electoral Commission. Now I'd like to hand over to President Wojciech Hermeliński. Thank you very much. Now let me read out to you the announcement of the National Electoral Commission concerning the number of persons on the list of voters and the number of persons to whom until noon on the 25th of October 2015 ballots were handed over in the elections to the Sejm and Senate of the Republic of Poland. Aggregate information, Poland. National Electoral Commission based on data obtained via the IT system from 25,970 precinct electoral commissions. Out of 25,970 precinct electoral commissions established in permanent constituencies in Poland informs that as of noon on the 25th of October 2015, the number of persons eligible to participate in the elections, i.e. the number of persons on the lists of voters from the precincts from which data was obtained was 30,095,457 persons. Including the packages, ballots were issued to 4,955,286 persons eligible to vote, which constitutes 16.47% of the total number of voters. Now, let me just present some data for you for your comparison. In terms of turnout in individual cities, the highest turnout was registered in Białystok, 21.13%, the lowest in Sosnowiec, 15.14%. In terms of provinces, the highest turnout was registered in Małopolskie province, 20.10%, the lowest in Lubuskie, 12.93%. The lowest number of voters participated in the elections in the municipality of Udanin, Średzki Powiat, Dolnośląskie province, that's 6.77%, and the highest in the municipality of Godziszów, Janowski Powiat, Lubelskie province, 33.89%. That's it in terms of the turnout as of noon today. The National Electoral Commission wishes to emphasize that we obtained several signals about incorrections concerning ballots. And the booklets, we have been informed that there are pages missing with candidates' lists, or the pages are duplicated, i.e. the lists of candidates from a certain party are doubled. Sometimes they are in the wrong order. The parties are in the order different than the one that resulted from the drawing. Sometimes the list of content is in the wrong place. Precinct electoral commissions should pay particular attention and take a very close look at the ballots handed over to the voters. Sometimes mistakes happen, some things may be overlooked. Therefore, the National Electoral Commission issued a letter to district electoral commissions urging them to make precinct electoral commissions particularly sensitive towards that matter and to monitor the ballots handed over to voters. Of course, I mean the booklets. These should be monitored whether they are correct or not. If the voter obtains an incorrect booklet with the aforementioned mistakes or errors and notices them, should address the Precinct Electoral Commission and demand that the ballot be exchanged to a correct one. And the Precinct Electoral Commission is obliged to exchange such a ballot to a ballot that is free of errors and mistakes. Finally, let me reiterate, as we have been informing you for a very long time, on the mode of voting. In the elections to the Senate, we only put one cross next to the name of one candidate. If you put more than one cross, the vote is invalid. The vote is also invalid if you don't put any cross. In terms of the ballots for deputies to the Sejm, the voters put just one cross on one list, i.e. one page. If you put two crosses on more than one page, that invalidates your vote. The vote is also invalid if there is no cross on any of the pages. Or handwritten notes on the list of candidates, on the list of contents, do not invalidate the vote. So if you put a cross next to the name of selected candidate and then an additional cross just in case on the list of contents, this does not invalidate the vote. What matters is the cross on the list of candidates. What happens on the list, on the page 1 or list of contents, does not invalidate the vote. Are there any questions? Małgorzata Drolicka, TVN24. What about the incidents that are reported above all to the police but also to you? For instance, Bisztynek, where a man dressed in a uniform, supposedly with a weapon, entered the polling station and threatened members of the commission. Or Lublin, where ballots were presented that were not stamped. Will these votes be valid? Maybe this was noticed too late. Some of the ballots did not bear a stamp. And another incident during which president of one of the commissions tore off banners of one of the candidates in the polling station in Włocławek. All such incidents as tearing off banners or the man with a weapon should be reported to the police and to the prosecutor's office immediately. These are the bodies responsible for handling them. In terms of the ballots without stamp, the Electoral Code clearly states that without the stamp the ballot is invalid if the voter did not notice that and cast the vote, put the ballot to the ballot box. It's impossible to reverse it. We cannot take it out. The only thing is to have voters protest. Polsat News, the data that you quoted, 16.47%, that's as of noon. How does that compare with previous elections?
Tutaj pani minister podpowiada, bo ja nie pamiętam tego, że w poprzednich wyborach ta cyfra
And the minister informs me that during the previous elections this was around 10%. Another question, what about the case in Biskupin, the fire in the polling station? Could you provide us with a brief summary? What was the procedure of decision taking and what was the final decision after the incident? Well, the Precinct Electoral Commission took the decision to interrupt the voting. There was no other option. The building was on fire, there was smoke, people had to be evacuated, documents had to be taken out. This was fully justified, but that will have no impact on the election silence, will not prolong it. The District Electoral Commission accepted that decision and we were informed about it. We see no reason to prolong the election silence. Hanna Brawolska, the movement of controlling the elections. I have the following questions, two important ones from the Polish diaspora from abroad. If the ballot was not stamped by members of the Commission, but by the Council, are they valid and should they be incorporated in the counting of the votes? There is no clarity here. So that's validity of ballots. Secondly, can a statesman register the work of the Commission in line with the regulations, i.e. prior and after the process of voting? There is a conflict between the Electoral Code, which entered on the 12th of August into force, and the training sent by the National Electoral Commission to embassies and consulates. In the latter, it is suggested that it is possible. Could you be brief, because you're starting to present your monologue? One question only, brief, concise. I asked a very concise question.
I trzecie pytanie.
I said I have two questions from the Polish diaspora and one from Poland. And that's my third question, referring to Poland. What act of law regulates the issue of electronic signature? In Warsaw we have electronic signatures and handwritten signatures. If you refer to the regulation of the Minister of Internal Affairs, you're actually wrong, because there is no information in the said document about electronic signature. What's the legal basis of for such signatures? First question, as for the stamps of consuls, these are valid ballots. The important thing is to have the stamp. As for the second question, too many questions, too convoluted ones. They are very simple. The work of statesmen abroad. Statesmen have the right to observe the work of electoral commissions, and there's no doubt about it. I mean, registering the work. These are the prerogatives that they have in Poland. Do they have the same prerogatives abroad? The code says no. And I remember during your training you said that it is the case. So people need to know what to do. You have to act in line with the code, the electoral code.
Kolejne pytanie, jeżeli jest...
Podpis elektroniczny.
Next question, electronic signature. Electronic signature is regulated by the Act on Electronic Signature, and the provisions of the said Act clearly state that electronic signatures on a document makes the document equal to an authentic one. It is equally valid as an original with handwritten signature. This is not decided about in the regulation. This is all specified in the Act. Next question, Krzysztof Zasada, RMF. Did you get any signals from Podlasie region, most likely from Białystok? We were informed that the lists of one committees, one of the candidates, were invalid. These are the signals that we obtained from our listeners. They only learn about it once in the polling station. That's Białystok and the vicinity. I don't know what you mean, actually, by saying invalid in your statement. They were invalidated. These are the signals that we got from our listeners, that the lists were invalidated. The list was invalidated, you're saying? Yes. I actually cannot comment on that. Well, that was possible. The District Electoral Commission could invalidate the registration of a list once the ballots were printed. And in line with the law and the instructions of the National Electoral Commission, the invalidated list, once the ballots are printed, is there, is part of the booklet. But in the polling station, information needs to be presented informing the people that this list is invalid. And the Precinct Electoral Commission should inform each voter that a given list in that precinct was invalidated and that no votes should be cast on candidates from that list. I see no further questions. Are there any questions? No, thank you very much, and we would like to invite you to be with us around 6:30 p.m. Thank you very much indeed.